Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
All right, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the Frankly Francisco podcast. I am your host, Francisco. I am very excited today. I have a young lady who is a up-and-comer. She is a writer, a producer. She is currently working on a film right now that she hopes to get distributed at some point. I'd like to introduce everybody to Aspri. How are we doing today, Aspri?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very happy to have you on. I was told very good things about you. And the point of my podcast is to highlight people like yourself, people who are on the rise, people who are trying to build something for themselves for the future. So tell my audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, my name is Aspri. I'm 30 years old and I own a production company called Liana Free Productions.
That's awesome. So how long have you been owning the production company?
It's about 2 years now. 2 years.
So what have you found so far to be your biggest pain point when it comes to, because essentially you're in the market where it's male dominated. Mm-hmm. And you're trying to break that narrative that only males can do certain things in this industry, especially when it comes to the Hollywood and the movie thing. Mm-hmm. So what has been the biggest pain point for you right now when it's come to this business?
I would say I've experienced it with having a production company, and even before having a production company. I've ran into the issue, and to me personally, it's insulting for someone to look at me and all they think I am is just a face, like, oh, just a pretty face. I've heard that a lot, and there's just so much more to me than that. And it's almost insulting as somebody saying, you talk like a white girl. Why do you talk like a white girl? That's something that's very insulting to me too, because not just to me, just for us as a people. My mom was a speech pathologist. So Ebonics was just a no inside of her house. That's just how I was raised. But I don't think proper English is dedicated to one race.
Right.
That's also an issue. And I've ran into an issue before at Walmart, and I had my Liana Free shirt on, and I had a hat that said the CEO is a her, not a him. And one of the workers came up to me, looked at my shirt, looked at me, read my hat, and to sum it up, pretty much said that, oh no, oh, your hat must be mistaken. You're mistaken. You have the face. You're probably the face, like the pretty face, but there's always a man that's in charge. For a second, I was so shocked because it was just crazy how comfortable he was to say something like that out loud. Even if you were thinking it, just to even say it out loud. So I really, I'm over here in Walmart putting this man in his place to let him know, no, there is no man standing behind me running my company while I'm just sitting here and smiling for the camera. There's nobody writing my script for me. There's none of that. No, I started this company from the ground up. This is my company. This is not me and a man, or a man and I stand behind a man, and absolutely not. No, this is my company. So he was shocked. Yeah.
So these conversations need to be had. This type of stuff, I think it's a big problem. I think a lot of women in this industry don't get enough credit for the things that they're able to do. You're trying to cut your own path in this industry. I mean, owning a production company, building from the ground up, that's an accomplishment in itself. That's not an easy thing to do, because you have to find those funds. You have to find backers. You have to find people who are willing to invest in your work. And by you being able to build this and do what you do now, and you're actually working on a film, which is phenomenal in itself. You have people who do productions and they make films, but these are films, that are short films, YouTube films. People do, 10, 15 minutes, but you're doing a full length feature that you're working on. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's something that you should be proud of. And I think that's something that you should take, take great care and continuing to build. So what got you into wanting to do production and be a writer for movies?
So honestly, when it comes to writing has always been something that I knew I was just good at it. And it was more of just a hobby. I would just be writing my own stories or whatever the case may be. It was just a hobby. Um, Never thought about taking it serious. I was in college at the time, and I was taking this class, and I had my professor. He had an assignment. It was a creative. I think it was a creative writing class, and he told us, "Okay, your next assignment, I want you to create a story. I'm not going to give you any prompts. I'm not going to give you anything. I just want you to create a story, and you're going to have to tell the story by the time we have class again." Okay, cool. So I did that. To be honest with you, I don't even think I really remember what I wrote. But I remember sitting in my apartment at night, and I'm just writing, writing. And my next class, I got up. I was so nervous to speak and to share, because I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know if they're gonna like it. Like, maybe this is too much, maybe it's not enough, or whatever. This is all the stuff that's like going in my head at the time. So I start and I say my story, everything that I wrote, and then by the time I'm done, the whole room is quiet. So the whole room's quiet. Everybody's just looking at me, and I'm just like, I'm thinking like, oh man, maybe it wasn't good. Like, so at the end, they eventually were like clapping and everything like that. And my professor was looking at me, and I looked at him. He was just like, I'm just really shocked. Like, he was like, that was phenomenal. And I was just like, wow. I was like, well, I really appreciate it. And he was like, can you stay after class? I was like, okay. So I stayed after class. Everybody had left out the room, and he's like, I really want to ask you a serious question. And I was like, okay. He was like, have you ever thought, well, first he asked me, he's like, well, what is your major? I said, well, my major is elementary education. He was like, He was like, okay. He's like, well, have you ever thought about taking your writing more serious? And I was like, well, no, I never really put any thought into, making serious. It's just a hobby. It's just something that I just, do. He sat me down. He was just like, I really think that you need to take it more serious. He's like, I understand you're doing elementary education, but I really feel like this is something you need to take serious. And to be honest, that's the first time I've ever had a teacher really sit down and have a serious talk about my future. And after that day, I really soaked it in and I thought about it. And it took that moment for me to change everything and to focus on my writing. And now I'm here.
So did it start out with short stories for you? Did you do plays? So like most people, they start out small, they do poems, or, they have a poem book, or they start working on, scripts for plays, or so do you have any of that stuff in the bank? Like, do you have stuff that you already have set aside for yourself that you want to work on for the future that you wrote a while ago? Because, when you write a script, you scrap it the first time, you rewrite it again, you scrap it again, you rewrite it again. There's going to be multiple edits. So do you have any stuff that you wrote when you first started this early that you still keep that you think it might turn into something? You just have to, wipe the dust off of it and revisit it again.
Of course, I have so many things. I have them all saved up in my cloud, and I also have my notebook too, because even if I can't finish it at that moment, as soon as the thought pops up in my head, I'm automatically writing it down, and whatever is in my head, I'm just jotting it down just so I can get it out of there and I don't forget about it. So sometimes I'll just like do that, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna come back to this. I just wanted to get it out of my head. I've written 2 plays. I've actually written a play for a school. A school has hired me to write a Christmas play for them. So it's like an Elf on the Shelf type of Christmas play school. So I've done that. I wrote a different one. I'm actually I got hired to write a different play. So once we're done shooting the rest of the movie, then I'll be getting ready to start working on that play. I wrote a children's book. I haven't published it yet. It's my nerves. I think as any creator, anything that you do, you're always hard on yourself, very
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
critical on yourself. Writing a movie and writing a book, two different things. Two different things.
Yeah. I've started a few books myself, and I've gotten 4 or 5 chapters in, and then I stop. I put it up, and then I don't revisit it. You know, sometimes it can take a long time. Stephen King took him 20 years to finish Under the Dome. So it can be, you know, books can be a little bit strenuous sometimes, because you have the motivation for it, and then all of a sudden the motivation goes away, or you have writer's block. So how do you keep right? So how do you keep yourself motivated to do what you're doing right now?
It's the drive. It really depends on how bad do you want it. And for me, this is it for me. This is my career. This is what I want to do. Not only it's something that I want to do, this is something that I was born to do. This is a gift that God has given me. And I feel like, not even feel like, I was told that my writing will bring other people closer to him. And if I can use my gift that was given to me in the right way, in the way that he wants it, it's always going to be successful, because I'm doing what I need to do. And I'm keeping God first in every single thing that I do. I've even I wrote a poem, a children's poem, to help parents grieve in the loss of their child. I have a friend who lost her child, and I wrote a poem for her. So I have that out too. And I have some other different poems, just different things. I love kids. I adore kids. So I definitely have some children's poems. I have one. My daughter doesn't like the sound of thunder and lightning when it's outside. I wrote her a cute poem. It's like a little musical poem. It's super cute. So I have that, and I'll recite it to her, and she'll say it, and she'll sing the little song that I wrote in there. And it's something to help her mellow down and, be able to go to sleep.
So how do you find that balance between work life and home life? I mean, everybody has to I have a family myself. How do you find that balance? I have to find the balance between working my day job and then doing what I'm doing with you right now. So how do you find that balance? Because the profession that you're in, it can get kind of tough and kind of stressful when you're trying to be creative, but you have a family you have to take care of. So where do you find that happy medium where you can say, hey, I'm going to focus on this a few hours a day, and then I have to spend time with my family?
Right. So that's a really good question. And that's still something that I am working on and making sure, because it's me and her, I never want her to think that, oh, mommy is too busy. Mommy's always working. Mommy doesn't have time for me or anything like that. Because there was a time where I was on the go and I'm working. And this was on my 9-to-5 job. I was a director of a school, and I'm there day and night, every single day. And it got to the point where by the time I got home, I'm mentally exhausted, to the point where I didn't even have enough space to even write. Like, I'm ready, I take care of my daughter and I'm ready to go to bed. And I actually had to make the decision to leave that job, because it was taking too much out of me and taking me away from what I actually want to do and with my daughter. The big thing that I say, and this is another topic that I feel like it's not really talked about a lot, and it's something that I feel like people try to avoid, but you can't avoid it because it's so real, and it's your mental health. It's so important. So there are those times where I want to the beach to me is very peaceful. So I can take my tablet, my notebook, my pencil. I'll go in the morning And I can sit there and I can write and that's like my piece, like my, but I have to take those days for me, because if I can't take care of me, how am I supposed to run a whole business, take care of my child? There's no way. I have to be okay up here.
And I understand fully where you're coming from, because I've had those issues. I stopped, for a couple weeks recording because I had to take a mental break. This stuff will wear on you, especially when you're trying to build something from the ground up. And that's what you're doing. You're building something from the ground up. It can be very stressful. And, if you don't have people to talk to, it feels like you're boxed in and you can't express the stuff you want. You found your happy place. You found the place where you can actually sit down, relax your mind, and have a clear thinking thought about what you want to do, which I think is fantastic. So when you're clear and your head is clear, walk me through what it took for you to get this production, this film that you're working on going. Like, what were some of the high points and the low points of putting it all together?
Okay. Well, one of the high points, my parents are very supportive. As soon as I told them this is what I wanted to do, they were on board 100%. And at that time, I was in the first beginning, I was still working, crazy hours, still had my daughter, trying to do this. And so they've helped me a lot. And things that I'm not able to do during the day because I'm working, they're helping me out with it. And they'll help me out with my daughter. In the beginning, it was really hard because I was going through a lot at that time. And it took me a few months to really get to be myself, to be able to get back to myself. I fell into depression. I was depressed for a while, and not really talking to anybody. So I really had to, and this is the big thing, especially in this industry. I feel like with any career you have, but like really even in this industry, because it is like you said before, a male dominated, industry. I have to be strong. I have to be strong. But in order for me to do that, I have to make sure I am 100% secure in myself, because at the end of the day, and I've already had this, no matter what, people are going to say, going to talk about you, whether you're doing something good, whether you're doing something bad. Someone always is going to have something to say, no matter what. But you have to be so secure in you, so focused in knowing it. Okay, I hear you. It don't matter what you say. It doesn't matter. This is where I'm going, and this is what I'm doing. It don't matter if it don't make sense to you, because I'm not doing it to make sense for you. This is what was told that I need to do, and this is what I'm doing. So sometimes when God gives you a vision, everybody's not going to see that vision. Everybody's not going to understand that vision. You have to surround yourself around, and your surroundings is very important. The people who you surround yourself with, that is very, very, very important. So you have to surround yourself with like-minded people, and you have to be okay. You got to be ready to hear the no's. You got to be ready to hear the negative comments. Because they're going to happen, but you have to be strong and secure in yourself. And I had to build myself up to like that, because I wasn't like that in the beginning. I suffered from insecurities. I used to be very insecure about myself. So I wasn't always like this. But God really helped me get through everything for me to become the woman that I am right now, to be able to do what I'm doing.
So making those connections after building yourself up, was that difficult? Reaching out to people, finding talent, finding people, a director. How difficult was that for you when you started this production?
Honestly, finding the cast wasn't really that difficult. I made a flyer and I posted it on social media of auditions, We already had a place set up and everything. We had, I think, about 20 people show up to our auditions, and I thought that was good. I was so nervous. I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to show up. I don't know what's going to happen. 20 people showed up to it, and I feel like for it to be our first audition, I feel like that was a good turnout. I feel like that was really, really good. And most of the people that came are the same people that are with us today.
That's beautiful. I mean, that's building a loyalty within your company. So are those, some of those folks, are some of those folks actors, or some of those folks other writers, producers, videographers? So out of that team, did most of those people come from those auditions when they came in?
Yeah, so the cast, yes, they came from those auditions. Now, we did lose a few, and I did have to get rid of a few, and we had to recast. But for the most part, cast-wise, yes, they came from the auditions. My director, his name is Andrew, and I met him through a previous producer that I had on this project. So Andrew is our director, and I ended up having to get a new producer, and his name is Ro Dunkley. So I have my director, I have my producer, and we actually started. I had to wipe the slate clean with the previous crew I had, and start over, just because there was just some things that I saw and experienced on our first set that was just a no for me. So I wiped the slate clean, and we brought on new crew. And I really love the new team that we have.
So this is something that you can use moving forward for yourself when it comes to the business. You saw something you didn't like. And at the end of the day, this is your company. This is your business. You're the CEO. You make the decisions. A lot of people are not going to be happy with that. You'll have people that'll run their mouth. Yes, people are always going to run their mouth. People's going to always find a reason to try to bring you down to their level. But as somebody that runs their own business, you saw you were uncomfortable with something, and you said, you know what? I don't need this. You got a whole new crew. Now things are working out. It's all a process. You know what I mean? We're going to make mistakes on the way up. And, even on the way down, we're going to still keep making mistakes. It's how we pick ourselves back up. And you're doing that right now. Your end game for all this, what is your end game ultimately? Do you want to go full-time Hollywood, New York, East Coast, West Coast? Do you want to go to Atlanta? Because, you have 3 places now where they film all the time now. It's just not the West Coast or the East Coast. You have the South. So what is your end game for all this?
Okay, so for Liana Free Productions, the whole thing for us is we are bringing Hollywood to Florida. What I realized down here is that there's so much talent down here. And I feel like a lot of people get looked over because they don't have that Hollywood status. But that doesn't make them any less talented than somebody that you see on the TV. It really doesn't. And some people just need that opportunity. They need that one chance, that one opportunity. And I want my company to be able to provide that opportunity. At first I was thinking about maybe going to Atlanta and doing all that other stuff. And then I heard God said, no, you are supposed to be right here. This is where I'm going to be building my studio, right here in Florida. This is where I need to be. And I want my company to be able to give that opportunity to those that have not had that opportunity. I've had people say, oh, you should get, because I'll send the trailer out and everything. And they're like, oh, you should recast, and you need to get these Hollywood actors and actresses. I know this actor and that actress and all this so much stuff. And I'm just like, no, that goes against everything that I stand for. Absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that when, let's give an example, like Terrence is a very talented actor, is very talented, but why would I recast Terrence and take him out for somebody that has a Hollywood status? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't.
To me, the best part about indie filmmaking and being an independent filmmaker is you do what you want. You can cast who you want. You can say who's going to be in your, because what people don't understand is most people in Hollywood started out in indie films. So why would somebody try to tell you who you can cast and who you can't cast? And I think this is the mentality a lot of people have is they want to tell you how to run your own company. This is your company. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Will you move on to the next project? But you have a vision, stick to the vision. It's something that you want to do and you continue to do. Now, when do you feel this film is going to get done? And where are you hoping to get screened at? And are you going to send it to any festivals? What's the timeline?
Okay, so we already shot our trailer. The trailer is out on YouTube right now. And I do have the trailer in some film festivals all over the world. We do plan on getting back on set to finish the rest of the movie in January. We are hoping to have the movie out by October of next year is what we're hoping to have the whole movie out. And we will do a red carpet premiere and everything. We were going to have a red carpet premiere for the trailer and everything. And this was before COVID had happened. And we had to cancel our entire event. But I was like, you know what? Things happen for a reason. And now we're in a better place than we were before. So the new premiere that we're going to do is going to be even better than the previous premiere that we were going to do. But we do plan on we're shooting back in January and we're hoping to have the movie out by October.
So that's fantastic. I'm very, very excited for you for what the future brings. And that slogan, you need to put that on a t-shirt because that slogan is, that slogan is great. Bringing Hollywood to Florida.
Thank you.
Start marketing that because that's going to be, that should be your tagline for the company. But as you move forward, how are we going to try to adapt to certain things like because Florida, you want to build a studio in Florida, there's going to be a lot of factors that might make things a little tougher to get that done. You have to make those certain connections. So how do you bring those people in? What are the plans to bring those, those angel investors or these people from LA to invest in you down here? Are you going to do that through your work? How is that going to happen for you?
So, right. And I've had my ups and downs with previous investors, people who wanted to invest and then pull out. And we've been through it with investors, but also when it comes to connecting with people and working with people, I don't look at just your profession like, oh, I can give you this much money or this is what I do, this is what I can do, and da da da. Okay, I hear you, and that is great. But I look at people's integrities. I look to see the passion. Is this somebody that I can really work with? Because if I'm getting a really bad feeling from somebody and they could be giving me $1 million, if something is not sitting right in my spirit about this person or whatever the case may be, it's going to be a no. But the biggest thing is I'm always praying too, because I'm always saying, you know what, God, please connect me with the right people. Whoever I need to connect with, please send them. And it never fails because every time I say it, I'm connecting with the people that I need to connect with.
So I'm happy for you. I want this to keep going for you. I want you to keep building. You need to pick your crown up, put it on your head because you are a queen and that's the way you need to look at yourself. I want you to keep changing it. Thank you for bringing me your perspective on what it's like dealing with all this stuff, because a lot of women out there need to know this. A lot of women need to know the struggle, the things that you're trying to do, and you're trying to change the narrative on, what women can and cannot do in Hollywood. And you're trying to change it. You're not even going to Hollywood. You want to keep it right there in Florida and build a brand and build something for yourself. And I salute you for that. I really do. So let the people know where they can find you, what social media platforms they can find you at, where they can find the trailer. Let them all know.
Okay. So for Instagram, you can find me. It's Aspri_Frank. So it's ASPRI_Frank, FRANK. I'm also on Facebook. You can type in my company, Leionia, LEIONIA, and it should automatically pop up. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. I'm working on getting us on Twitter. I'm not really social media tech savvy. So I'm working on getting someone to help me with it. So I am working on the process of getting on Twitter. Our trailer is found on YouTube. It is called The Rebirth. It says The Rebirth movie trailer. So if you click that in on, if you type that in on YouTube, it should automatically pop up. The cool thing about the trailer is when we had first released the trailer, within a week, we had over 1,000 views on the trailer. Yes, it was really, really, really nice. Because I'm constantly like looking at my phone. I'm like, okay, how many views we have now? How many views now? Okay, let me share it here. Let me share that. And so it was pretty good and it felt really good to get them those type of views in that short period of time. It was really cool. But another thing that, if you don't mind me saying, is not only that I'm trying to change how women are viewed in the industry, but just in general. Growing up, my mother taught me how to be independent. That was a very big thing. So I am a very independent person, but as a woman, I don't want other women to think that their place is cooking dinner at home, staying home, just watching the kids, not really doing anything for yourself. And don't get me wrong, because I'm a parent, and of course your kids come first, but don't let being a parent stop you from accomplishing what your goals are. Stay focused on it. And there is that balance that you have to find. And I'm not a professional at it. I'm still working on it myself too. But the biggest thing about it too is the mental health. Sometimes I do have to step aside and rethink and just gather my thoughts and make sure I'm okay, to make sure my daughter is okay, to make sure my company is okay, because I'm also back in school too. So I'm working school, my child, she's in competitive cheerleading, and I have my company. So it's a lot on one plate. So I have to be able to stay organized so I don't feel like I'm running myself crazy.
So I want to thank you for putting it out and trying to inspire other women to be more than what they think they can be, for you being a strong mother, but also being a strong businesswoman, because that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You want to build something for the future for yourself and something for your daughter. And I commend you for that. But you also want people to have that balance in their life, because mental health is a big thing now that I think a lot of people used to push to the back burners is coming up more to the forefront. So I thank you. I thank you for coming on. Please keep us updated as to, what's going on with the movie. You're welcome to come on anytime that you want to talk. If there's more projects that you want to talk about, more happy to have you on. So thank you so much for coming on. Thanks, folks, for listening and watching, and we will see you next episode.
All right.